All right, 10 seconds to go. You got. I'm assuming that we're gonna have the same countdown, so we'll just go straight in, straight away. Yeah.
Yep, that's the plan.
Hopefully, we don't get any of that little lag that sometimes happens.
It shouldn't be a thing if there's like spec delay and you join in the same time.
All right, here we go. G'day, fellas, and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in on the south side of the map, we've got DeMusliM playing as the Rus, and his opponent, who spawns to the north of the map, Lidicor. Who is it?
It is IAmMagic on the north playing as the Rus as well. Rus mirrors here on Arabia. Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed. So these players are playing a best of 3 series. We're currently in the SteelSeries Prime Cup, and this is the semifinals, I want to say, Lidicor. Is that correct?
Indeed it is. It is a best of 3. Price pool of the event is $20,000. It is a quite a well-distributed price pool though, so the winner only gets $5,000. It's not really a front-heavy tournament, but still one of the major 1v1 tournaments of our time. And $20,000 price pool for a one-weekend event is definitely quite significant.
Yeah, it's incredible to think that this is just one weekend that is happening, and there's $20,000 coming in from SteelSeries for this one. So big shout out to them. It is great to have them supporting the age community, and yeah, and hopefully they're going to be sticking around. But speaking of sticking around, the Rus, they've been sticking around for a few weeks now. Both players here opting to play the Rus on Arabia. Both players opening up with relatively safe openings, not looking to deny any hunt from their opponents. We can see that they've both headed towards the backs of their base, or the backside towards away from their opponents. But yeah, no one really looking for any potential hunt theft going on just yet, Lidicor.
Indeed, looking at the bounties, DeMusliM is at 105 and IAmMagic is at 95. So both players starting off quite nicely, taking down their own patches of deers. So this is going to come down to how many wolves you're able to get, because that's your major source of gold when it comes to bounties. So in fact, I love to see that IAmMagic is moving out with one scout to the right side looking for wolves, and that is the same approach from DeMusliM. Now, notably, DeMusliM played English in his Arabia games in the previous 2 sets, so this is the first time I'm seeing him playing Rus in this matchup. Not sure how experienced he is with this build, and that could give a tiny advantage here for IAmMagic.
Well, look, I'm going to be honest with you, Lidicor. I kind of joke about Rus players, and like part of the build order is drooling on their keyboard. You know, I say like, you know, go up with the Golden Gate. You know, get professional scouts, drool on your keyboard a little bit, just because it is a little bit of, it's a brain dead sort of thing. I like to say, you know, it's very simple. You just got to do one thing. So I don't think DeMusliM's going to have too much trouble with it. I've been watching his stream a fair bit lately. He plays a little bit of Rus, and he did obviously, he played against Viper in one of the best games of Age of Empires 4 that I've ever seen. I think you might have seen that game as well. It was on Boulder Bay. Do you remember that one?
Nope, I didn't see that game.
Oh, you didn't see that game? Yeah, probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. He played the Rus against Viper's Holy Roman Empire. Viper went for a Fast Imperial. It's like an 11-minute Fast Imperial, and he almost died, but yeah, DeMusliM took him all the way to like, I think it was a 50-minute game. Absolutely ludicrous. So DeMusliM's, yeah, he's got a fair bit of experience with this Civ. Should be doing pretty well. Going to be dropping down the Golden Gate, 6 villages on that. So he's really looking to rush that one up as quickly as possible.
Absolutely, and he got a very, very nice start with the bounty. He lured in 4 wolves to his town center, so he's sitting at 270. As a comparison, IAmMagic's only at 220, and the reason why that hurts is because he's lacking that level 2 bounty. He's gonna get that with that wolf being killed now, but still,
Yeah.
the later you get it, the less your food income is going to be, simply because you're getting that extra gather rate boost a little later.
He does actually have a sheep under his town center. It's hiding out at the moment. I've managed to locate it. I think we can probably spot it. Yeah, if you actually move the camera around to look inside the town center, you can see that sheep just hiding out. So if he hits that one, it'll take him up to 250.
And that's something that he needs. Otherwise, he's gonna be sitting at 245, and he's still going to be at level bounty. Tutelage in for both players. And, ooh, DeMusliM still has a scout coming out of that hunting cabin that delays that professional scouts a tiny bit.
Well, but in addition to that, Magic actually having to do a forced drop-off with the wood. A little bit of miss macro there. We did actually see earlier in the day that we had players managing to get that professional scouts out at about 355 on the dot. But yeah, it looks like both players skipping a little bit of a beat there. we'll say with regard to the professional scouts, it was just, yeah. I love that you were watching DeMusliM and he had the scout in there, whereas Magic was, he was waiting on wood to come in. So he had all the gold in the bank. I think he had about 360 gold sitting there, but only had 52 wood. So yeah, it took him a little bit of time there before that one came in.
The timing of this one is crucial because even if just 5-6 seconds of an advantage for the professional scouts, that could be a difference maker between who picks up the hunt of the opponent. And you see, IAmMagic is already moving up with his scouts, so he's looking to take the hunt of the Muslim here. Whereas the Muslim looks like he's pulling all his scouts back, so he just wants to focus on his own patch of huntables.
Oh, really? Oh, that's actually quite rare for people to do that. Typically in these matchups, yeah, you almost always want to be going for your enemy's hunts, especially in these highly contested Rus mirrors. So looking forward to seeing how it goes. We're going to have more scouts here than we have deer, so it's going to be a little bit tight. We're basically playing musical deer, and it looks like DeMusliM might have to be able to sit this one out. It looks like 3 of those 4 deer do get picked up. 4 of the deer now getting picked up. Magic walking away with 4 deer. DeMusliM, unfortunately, empty-handed. He's only got 3 deer. 2 of his scouts about to sit this one out and say, sorry, guys, we're going to have to find shares elsewhere.
Absolutely. He probably was looking at that patch of huntables and just said, oh dear.
Oh, my... you know what, Lytical? I've missed casting with you. I've missed the dad jokes. It's been a while that I've been away from my dad. Look, I'm hopefully going to go see him next week. And obviously, we've got Christmas coming up. But, you know, in the interim, it's great to have you here making all the dad jokes.
Notably, the 2 patches of huntables are very, very close to IAmMagic space if you look at it. So it's very, very easy to ferry in all that deer and just prevent the Muslim from stealing that. As a comparison, the Muslim's second patch of huntables is very far out on the left, and so far, he only managed to pick up 3 deer for himself, whereas IAmMagic is already pretty much done swooping up one of his patch, and he also took quite a lot from his opponent.
Yeah, I think this is really where the big difference comes in, and having a look now, Magic's actually going to pick up that second hunt from DeMusliM. He's got 4 scouts heading out that way. We've got now DeMusliM actually managing to secure up quite a few carcasses of his opponent. His scout once again going to be... Oh, he's managed to pick up 6 carcasses from his opponent's hunt, so not a terrible job there. I think he's going to be pretty happy with that, but Magic already able to click up at 7 minutes, dropping down the Abbey of the Trinity. He's got 14 villagers on this, and I think this might have been one of the fastest click-ups I've ever seen in this build order. Some of these Rus players are absolutely ludicrous when it comes to their click-up times.
Absolutely. And there is so many small details coming down to this one. How good your hunting cabin is at the beginning, because that gives you a gold trickle, and having a slightly better gold trickle could be a difference maker between having to use 1 more ticket from your golden gate. Your main bottleneck is that ticket available out there. So depending on how much bounty you get and depending on how good your hunting cabin is, that can determine how many tickets you have to use. The Abbey of the Trinity is coming in for the DeMusliM as well, and it looks like the cast stage times will actually be pretty much identical.
Yeah, 7:47 there for DeMusliM. Very nice timing for him. He doesn't yet have a ticket to spend at the Golden Gate, so he's still not going to be able to get that Warrior Monk out just yet. Both players now going up to the 3rd age. Abbey of the Trinity now going to be creating its first Warrior Monk for Magic. We'll check in on DeMusliM. DeMusliM going to be making one as well. So players looking pretty evenly matched at this point in time. Only about 4 seconds difference between the 2 of them. And yeah, heading in towards this mid game now, we're seeing quite an even battle between these 2 players.
Absolutely. Notice how both players delay their archer ranges. In the early iterations of these build orders, what we have seen is that you're building your archer ranges as you go up. Obviously, that requires a lot more votes, so you're delaying your castle age a tiny bit, but in exchange you hit castle age having free ranges. Instead, in this scenario, both players just go as fast to castle age as possible because this is gonna come down to whoever can get more relics. Looking at the relic spawns, those seem to be fairly even, so I would expect both players to have at least 2 relics.
Yeah, I suspect it's going to be going that way as well. Now, in this matchup, I'm curious to see which way players go, whether they look to secure their own relics first, or whether they look to actually contest the central relics as the first port of call. But now we've got Magic going to be coming out now with his with his Warrior Monk towards the middle, and it looks like it's actually the same relic that DeMusliM was going for as well. Despite DeMusliM going up to the next age about 4 or 5 seconds faster than his opponent, the Warrior Monk did come out about 4 or 5 seconds faster for Magic, and Magic's actually going to be losing his Warrior Monk in the middle here, but he should be able to wall a low. I think he's going to be absolutely fine. You can see just the lack of damage coming out right here. Magic's got to wake up. I don't know why he's not wall lolling. He can wall a low. I think is he scared at this point, or is he concerned? A little bit of a mistake coming in from him. I don't know why he just doesn't hit the button, Magic. You could have captured all of these.
Oh boy, that's a disaster, and now that is going to be a relic falling into the hands of DeMusliM. He freaked out. I think that he just forgot that he can convert, and that's why...
He just forgot. It was the slowest death I've ever seen, but it was disgusting. What was that, Lytical? That was... This is next level nerves.
Yeah, and the thing is, that's why having that many scouts actually helps, because otherwise he can't surround that Warrior Monk. At the end of the day, that's going to be one relic for DeMusliM, but the bigger thing is that you just killed one Warrior Monk, so you slow down your opponent's relic gathering operation. As you said, he could have converted, but even if you don't do the conversion itself, that forces the DeMusliM's scouts to just disengage, because you can't keep those scouts around when the Vololo was triggered. So that was just such a weird move from IAmMagic. I think he either just forgot about that Warrior Monk as it is, or he was just trying to right-click spam outside, hoping that he doesn't need to trigger the conversion. But I think he just forgot about it, simply.
I think that's got to be it. I think he's just forgotten to use that. He's obviously sitting there. He would have been spamming as fast as he could, trying to free his Warrior Monk from the clutches of DeMusliM's scout mass. But unfortunately, yeah, just forgetting that he could have just clicked that one button, created that global sound, that wall, and it would have saved him. It would have saved him so much heartache. But now DeMusliM going to be securing up his third relic of the game. So second relic going to be coming in here for his opponent Magic now as it gets picked up. So DeMusliM definitely going to be having the lead as we enter in towards the mid game. Players obviously going to be looking to fight over the sacred sites next, and huge masses beginning to build of scouts as well as of horse archers as Magic begins to retreat back towards his base and DeMusliM pushing out.
And talk about small things influencing the game. That relic difference will be just built on that single lost Warrior Monk for IAmMagic. If that wasn't lost, he would have the relic lead, and those could have long-term consequences. Having one extra relic for the course of the game is a massive difference maker.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. I mean, it's 100 gold for the rest of the game that's going to be trickling in for him. So, you know, that really starts to add up when you're talking about 30 minutes. That's, what is it, 3,000 gold. I mean, can you imagine that? Basically a free gold mine for DeMusliM here. But now DeMusliM are going to be pushing into the middle of the map, fighting over this sacred site, forcing Magic back. You can see that he's got quite a significant mass advantage here over his opponent, and also has Warrior Monks in the mix, which are going to be providing that Saint's Blessing. You can see it coming out over on top of these units, and a beautiful cleanup right now for DeMusliM. He's going to be forcing back his opponent. We've got the sacred sites that are getting captured up at the meantime, but the primary issue that DeMuslim's going to be having at the moment is just that he's not really going to have a way to siege down his enemy town center. So going to be falling back and looking, I guess, to apply a little bit of pressure to wood lines potentially. Where does he go from here?
I think that at this point you gotta start picking up one of those sacred sites for yourself as well. And you see the different approaches here. IAmMagic is dispatching his Warrior Monks individually to take the sacred sites, whereas DeMusliM just kept his forces together, and that's going to help in battles. Now I feel like you're going to start thinking about getting some raids going, maybe see if those bears on the north, or having villagers on, or you just want to dive in, snipe one or two villagers, and then disengage on the wood line.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We'll take a look now at upgrades that are coming through. So we've got the +1 that's come through, +1 ranged attack coming through for Magic. He's going for +1 defense now. No Boyar's Fortitude coming through just yet. Compare that over to his opponent, DeMusliM. He's on the same upgrades at the moment. No Boyar's Fortitude coming through for him just yet. No +1 defense, but now we've got ourselves another battle beginning to unfold in the center of the map as DeMusliM looks to hold onto this sacred site. Scouts heading on towards the backline, and in this micro battle, it's going to be about focusing down the enemy horse archers. Keep in mind there's a lot of health on these scouts. You want to avoid shooting them. You want to make sure that you're killing your enemy horse archers, and DeMusliM doing a great job of that. Kind of looks like he's got a pretty good lead here, Lidicor, so far.
Absolutely. I think he also had Warrior Monks in this fight, so Magic lost his Warrior Monks quite early on, whereas his own are still there, and as you said, those help quite a bit in this battle. This was a decisive win here for the DeMusliM, currently sitting at 53 kills and 22 losses, and we're talking about only 11 army for IAmMagic and 29 for the Muslim. And behind this one, remember, there is one extra relic for the Muslim as well. So slowly but surely he's carving out a lead, and mirror matchups like this can snowball very fast if one player starts to slowly grind down the opponent and build that lead.
And I think that's exactly something that Magic has realized, and he's starting to look for the next route out. So he's actually dropped down a siege workshop in the back of his base, so not going towards the front. Probably wants to keep this one hidden because obviously you spot out a siege workshop from your opponent. What's your immediate response? Your immediate response is to drop down your own siege workshop and begin training up Springlords. So I'm suspecting we're going to see a Mangonel or two potentially coming out, and indeed we do see a Mangonel coming out for Magic now. So he's looking to begin turning the tides in his favor, it seems.
He needs to, because he has lost map control, which would allow the Muslim to secure sacred sites. Looks like the Muslim could lose that warrior monk on the north, though, to the Cav Archer, so he needs to be careful with that.
I'm not sure if you saw what happened over on the right-hand side of the map, Liticor, but there was a sacred site, and it actually came down to about half a second to tick over, and DeMusliM just left it a tiny little bit too early. He was trying to take advantage of it, but it's just cost him a whole bunch of resources. It's been absolutely terrible. He manages to send back a warrior monk now to recapture it up, but it's bad, unfortunate timing right there.
Indeed. He did lose the warrior monk on the left side, but he's going to have two sacred sites, and as things stand, Cav Archer numbers are fairly even. That Mangonel could be the difference maker for IAmMagic.
Yeah, Mangonel getting off a good shot right. Oh my god, nice little dodge right there. Doing the old 1-2. Did you see that one? He walked in one direction, faked him out, and then split around. And oh, a beautiful dodges coming out from DeMusliM. He dodges 2 in a row right now. We're going to be able to take out that Mangonel on the front line going down. DeMuslim's mass is absolutely massive. Boyar's Fortitude's going to be coming in for him as well, making sure he's got that extra 20 health at this point. DeMusliM looking incredible at this point in time, Liticor.
Absolutely, and the Cav Archer numbers are quite even, so that Boyar's Fortitude is massive, and the moment those Cav Archers retreat from IAmMagic, he's going to start losing his access to food. That's pretty much his only food income right now, those berries. No food, no Cav Archers, and this could snowball out of control in a matter of moments.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We're actually starting to see his food per minute beginning to drop. He's down to about 550 food a minute. It is dropping down very quickly. DeMusliM doing a great job of forcing him to idle right now. And gosh, DeMusliM is looking incredible in this match right now.
He is looking extremely powerful, and you see IAmMagic is sitting at 1 food. Not only does that prevent him from massing more Cav Archers, it's going to affect his villager production as well. So once again, DeMusliM gets himself a tiny bit of a lead over here. 56 villagers over 45 is the villager count. It wasn't about the villagers killed, it was about the idle time on that town center for IAmMagic.
Yeah, and now we're going to see like one of the significant differences that you pointed out in the early game. You mentioned that Magic was focusing on securing up those sacred sites, whereas DeMusliM was just looking at reinforcing his main army. And as a consequence, it meant that his warrior monks were able to apply Saint's Blessing in the battles. They were able to provide that extra 1 armor, and that was enough to turn the tide of the battle in the favor of DeMusliM. And ever since then, we've just continued to see a trend towards DeMusliM, and now as we enter into the 17th minute, he's picked up his second sacred site, and he's looking incredible.
He also took down 2 boars, so he's at 455 bounty now. That's gonna be a ton of extra gold to work with. He's got 1 extra relic for him, and he is getting that 3rd sacred site even, so soon he can just sit back and defend those sacred sites, force IAmMagic to make a move.
Yeah, speaking of IAmMagic making moves, actually gets a very good Mangonel shot off right there. That was an incredibly good one, hitting off on a lot of these units here. Getting off a second shot and managing to miss the most of, or the majority. But keep in mind, there are warrior monks that are mixed in with this army, so if there's a civilization that's going to be able to counter effectively the Mangonels of their enemy, it's going to be the Rus. I got to say that much. It feels like the Rus are definitely a civ that are very well rounded when it comes to dealing with Mangonels.
Absolutely. And the magic of this one, get it? Magic. So the magic of this one is that you can heal those Cav Archers back with your warrior monks. So not only are they capable of capturing sacred sites, they're able to boost your units, but also heal them up when outside of combat. And you see that if you look at the resources per minute, that's way better for the Muslim in every department. He already has a good farming eco set up. He's got 3 sacred sites, whereas his opponent has absolutely no farming eco just yet.
Yeah, and one thing to note is these warrior monks really heal up these units incredibly quickly as well. A couple of horse archers going to be going down in the middle from DeMusliM, only 3 though, so not a huge amount. Probably going to be losing that sacred site as well, but not a big deal for him. As you mentioned, he has already begun his transition into farms. So the fact that he's been able to drop down 15 farms, that's a lot of resources. 15 times 75 equals a lot. It's more than 1,000. Actually, he's got, oh my god, he's got a lot of farms here. He's got 14 over there. He's got 15 down here. He's got 29 farms in total. That's more than 2,200 resources. Actually, it's 2,175. So very, very close. But yeah, we're yet to see any farms actually coming out from Magic. And the fact that DeMusliM is still managing to keep up on the mass numbers, despite having spent more than 2,000 resources on his farms, it's incredible. It is incredible.
Absolutely. And the thing is that farming takes some time to return its investment. It's a very, very heavy on your economy when you have to start adding you those farms. This is why you're trying to delay it as much as possible by ferrying in the year, going out for berries. But DeMusliM is approaching that region where he's really getting the benefit of that long-term farming economy setup, and he's getting that return value, whereas IAmMagic is yet to establish his farming eco. A lot of scouts on the field that could snipe that one Mangonel.
Yeah, Mangonel probably going to get sniped out in this position. A beautiful mass of horse archers beginning to build up now. Wonderful splits coming out as the warrior monks look to apply that beautiful blessing that they do have. Now, keep in mind, Boyar's Fortitude has come in here for DeMusliM, but has not come in for DeMagic, for IAmMagic. So it means that even though IAmMagic's got the extra +1 in armor, he's got significantly less health on his cavalry. So a little bit of an oversight here from IAmMagic, I would say.
It is a very, very expensive upgrade, especially on the gold cost, and when your opponent has more relics and more sacred sites than you, obviously it's easier for the Muslim to afford that. He's actually going for that tower in the middle that has 3 villagers garrisoned inside. He is confident that he can take it down. That will also be 3 villagers lost for Magic, who is already behind by 10.
Yeah, and it's kind of wild to think about. Like, as you mentioned, it's an expensive upgrade. It all goes back to that Wallalol. Or rather, the lack of Wallalol. You know, it should have been a very easy decision for him to make. I'm just going to hit this one button. I'm going to capture my relic. You know, we saw that he was ahead of DeMuslim's warrior monk by a decent, 3 or 4 seconds there in the middle of the map. They both went for the exact same relic, and he would have been able to take it out. But unfortunately, that has begun to trickle from a small river into a gushing river, I guess, or a small creek into a gushing river potentially. And now Magic is, really starting to fall behind when it comes to those upgrades and most importantly, that economy.
And now we have some knights on the field as well, so those will help a lot sniping those Mangonels. In fact, that Mangonel is very much exposed since IAmMagic decided to launch a counterattack with his Cav Archers, but that might be very heavily mistimed. Mangonel could get a nice shot in, but it misses it. And now I feel like those Cav Archers can just run straight into Magic's economy here.
Yeah, is he just going to focus down the town center at this point? He's got such a big mass here. DeMusliM with 86 military population. So many resources getting banked into this army at the moment. He's managed to actually locate the villages, and at this point, it kind of looks like it might be good game getting called any second here as the villager count continues to dwindle down. IAmMagic going to be holding on, at least for the moment. 44 villagers for him. Compare that to DeMusliM, who sits up on 63 at the moment. Gonna be looking for a bit of a counter raid himself, though. Down towards DeMuslim's base, it looks like he is going to be picking up a few villagers down here on the farms of his opponent.
DeMusliM actually is looking for the villagers up north. Magic finishes the gate just in time to escape, but that's 24 idols, and currently the problem for IAmMagic is that he's got 0 working villagers.
He does too. He's got absolutely no economy. Look, go to income per minute. It is slowly trickling down to 0, 0, 0. I mean, it's not going to be exactly 0, 0, 0 because he does have the relics. He does have the hunting cabin that's there, but it's going to get essentially 0, 0, 0. That is a great find, Lidicor.
And yes, DeMusliM is going to lose some villagers over here. In fact, it's more painful than it should be. But his army numbers are much, much better. He's got more relics. And eventually, when he grinds down IAmMagic's army, IAmMagic will just have no resources to rebuild his force of Cav Archers.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the villager count. DeMusliM on 54 at the moment. Magic on 43. So he's managed to even it up. But as you mentioned, 17 military population versus the 78 of DeMusliM is going to mean it's going to be difficult for him to keep up with his opponent.
Absolutely. When DeMusliM played his set yesterday, it was, I think, the round of 16 set, he actually had, like, 114 villagers versus 60 advantage in one Arabia game. And then he lost like 25 villagers to 2 knights on his gold mine. So he definitely has some problems sometimes keeping that eco alive. And this is definitely the only chance for Magic back into this game, somehow grinding down that economy from DeMusliM. But still, his own eco is a train wreck, so I don't see this one being a thing simply because we're looking at 56 population against 128.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be that way, doesn't it? Oh, it's absolutely ludicrous. We see the market going to be going down here as well. I think he's going to be buying some stone and looking to drop down a second town center. We'll have to see exactly how he looks to play it, but I can only imagine that's going to be his decision here, and trying to look to get ahead on that that village account again, because he's down to 52 villages, 45 for his opponent. So Magic has managed to even up the village account between the two players. Obviously got a lot of villages up towards the north, but keep in mind that behind this, Magic is slowly adding in farms, but it's going to take time for those to pay off. He's got 13 farms at the back here, but obviously DeMusliM, he's got plenty of farms in total. How many farms has he actually added? I'm going to do like a shift click here. Give me a sec, Lidicor. I'm going to count all these bad boys up. He's got 39 farms. He thinks he's playing the English.
That's a lot of farming eco, and most importantly, he's got 83 army on the field as opposed to 9, so he can just run into IAmMagic's base and kill that entire economy, because IAmMagic's just got no army. I was actually waiting for DeMusliM to start dropping those Vols. He's one of those players that loves to go for Vols around his base. He hasn't done that so far, but now he understands that his opponent's only chance of getting back into this game is raiding, so if you limit the raiding surface, you can just force fights in the middle, and that's exactly what we're going to see from him.
Yeah, it's a smart move by him to do that. And I'd just like to say that I really love the production here from DeMusliM as well. Just training out constant warrior monks. Looks like a raid is going to get picked up. There was a raid of horse archers beginning to move down towards the base of DeMusliM, and he does manage to spot that one out. But DeMusliM just been adding in extra warrior monks the entire game. And at the moment, he's got about 5 that are up in the first group. Does he have any in the second group? I'm just going to quickly check. No, it doesn't look like it. But just the fact he's got 5 warrior monks out means that he's always going to have Saint's Blessing being applied. He hasn't picked up any of those unique technologies. Obviously, the Rus have got access to a whole bunch of unique technologies for their warrior monks. But yeah, it's great to see from him.
Absolutely. I think he's playing this one very, very safely, but he needs to realize that his opponent has basically no army on the battlefield. It's 93 versus 15, and while Cav Archers aren't necessarily good against wooden fortresses, you have so many of them that you can start taking those down anyways.
Yeah, it really starts to be quite significant. When you got 55 horse archers out, it's 55 damage essentially per volley. So he's doing pretty well at this point in time. And keep in mind the horse archers are, of course, bugged at the moment, so their attack speed is much faster than what it should be. And so they are putting out a lot of damage.
Absolutely. As DeMusliM is playing this one very, very safely, but he doesn't need to rush this one. He's got 3 relics, he's got 3 sacred sites. No point to dive in and potentially risk throwing the game away. We have to keep in mind that these players don't see what we are seeing, so it doesn't know if IAmMagic has something sneaky behind this one, like 20, 30 Cav Archers with 3 Mangonels. In reality,
yes,
IAmMagic's army is just sort of insignificant, so you could just dive in.
Well, he doesn't have 20 or 30 Cav Archers, but he does have 3 Mangonels. And I don't know about you, Lidicor, but 3 Mangonels is the magic number. It's enough to take out an entire fleet of Cav Archers, and it manages to get the first shot off. Now, Villager's going to get pulled here as well. It looks like we've got Villagers coming in on to heal those Mangonels. They're managing to get off a couple of shots, but there's just so many units in here, I don't think it's going to make a difference. DeMusliM looking like he's going to be able to clean up this game. All the Villagers going to be going down. I would have loved to have seen some walls out here for Magic. Probably would have been able to keep these safe. Maybe just a little box over towards the right side of his farms, but it does look like DeMusliM manages to come out victorious. Magic tapping that one out and taking the first game in this semi-final.
Great play over here for DeMusliM. It was just a slow, gradual increase of that advantage that he had. And I'm not trying to overstate the importance of that single relic not being taken by IAmMagic, but really, as you said, if he just triggers the Vololo over there, that would have scared away the scouts, because the scouts take a lot of time to kill that warrior monk. So you either convert all those scouts, or the scouts will leave. Whichever happens, you will be able to get that relic back. And that was the first piece of advantage that DeMusliM was able to acquire. And we talked about the Boyar's Fortitude. That's an upgrade that's very heavy on the gold. When you have 100 extra gold per minute, it's much easier to afford Boyar's Fortitude. That allows you to have a combat advantage that translates into a map control advantage that you can use to gather the sacred sites, and from that point on you have a better resource income, and that is just something that you can use for better army numbers.
Yeah, no, I think that's a wonderful summary right there. And for anybody who is watching this one on YouTube, we're going to leave you guys here. I'm going to put a link in the description over towards Lidicor's YouTube page. So I encourage you to check him out. If you're interested in seeing more casted content like this game that we've just casted, make sure you check him out. And a big shout out to SteelSeries as well, Lidicor. They've casted or they've sponsored this event for us. So big shout out to them.
Indeed.
All right. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you very much for watching.
So, we're getting ready to game number 2, and I did mention at the beginning of this set that both of these home maps, which are Hill and Dale and the pick of DeMusliM Altai, is something that he has to be happy with. He played Hill and Dale as his home map against Marine Lord, and now his opponent's home map is Hill and Dale, so he feels confident whichever way this first game goes, because he's gonna have a map that he is familiar with. So playing from an advantageous position, going for Hill and Dale as the home map of the opponent, that has to be a happy situation for him, simply because he's familiar with that map. He picked Holy Roman Empire against Marine Lord there, but he's got Chinese available too. Do you think it's gonna be HRE versus Chinese again? Or DeMusliM is just gonna go for Chinese here? Because if IAmMagic has seen that previous set, he should know that DeMusliM picked the Holy Roman Empire there.
Yeah, well, look, I've got absolutely no insight as to what civilizations might be coming out, but I suspect it's going to be a Chinese mirror. No, I'll be honest. I've already loaded into the next game. It's going to be a Chinese mirror Lidical. We are going to be seeing it. So no Holy Roman Empire. I am so impressed. I'm so happy. You know, Lidical, you're a big fan of the Chinese. I'm a big fan of the Chinese. We get to see Chinese mirrors. Who would have thought a day in an age where China has mirrors happening?
Absolutely. I'm a massive fan of Chinese, and when EGC Genesis was played, people were saying that Chinese are trash, and I've been saying that, look, it's just people needing more time to figure this civilization out. It's definitely the most complex civilization of all, how you use the dynasties, how you use the imperial officers, and the other factor, as I said, is that DeMusliM probably feels that, okay, Magic may have seen my set against Marine Lord, so he probably suspects me to go for Holy Roman Empire, but it's now going to be a Mirror Civilization matchup, which comes down to pure skill and execution, and that is something that DeMusliM was able to win with in game number 1.
Yeah. And it's interesting that we've got sort of double mirrors happening here. So I think both players are sort of really playing into that concept of the meta and what civilization is best on what map, playing to the strengths of each civilizations. Obviously, there was the Holy Roman Empire that was available there, but as you mentioned, he may have had his opponent spy out that strategy that he did or that he went for. So it may potentially work up a counter to it. But yeah, I'd be curious to see what we're going to get from these two players in this matchup. Obviously, China Mirror. Which direction do you think they're going to go? Is it going to be... look, I've got a feeling this is going to be a boom off. This is going to be the world's biggest boom.
Yes and no. Part of the reason why a boom could be played here is because it's very, very safe. That early mill into fast professional scouts, deer ferrying meta, and then Song Dynasty 2 Center boom is probably the safest way to play this one, safest way not to throw away the game. On the other hand, it's also the most obvious way to play Chinese. So if one player is not contesting the map very aggressively, I can see a Palace Guard ramp push coming in here to surprise. We have seen some aggressive plays with Chinese before, and with the Imperial Officer being able to supervise your buildings, you can really get some army out on the field. I can see a forward barracks being supervised and then a ramp push working out, simply because most players, if they play Chinese here, won't make a lot of army at the beginning, and it's just gonna be full boom.
Yeah, that is a really good point. Well, we're going to be heading into this second game, Lidical. Once again, I'll be taking us in, and we'll get ready to go. I hope you're ready. I'm jumping in now.
Me too. So Chinese Mirror on
Let's do it.
Hill and Dale.
Oh, man, how exciting is this? Oh, my game is just sitting here.
Yeah, me too.
All right, There we go. I'm in. G'day, fellas, and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in over on the west side of the map, we have DeMusliM playing as the Chinese. The map is Hill and Dale, and his opponent, who spawned in on the east side of the map, Lidicor. Who is it?
It is IAmMagic, also playing as the Chinese, with an identical opening compared to DeMusliM, both of them going for that early mill. And holy potatoes, that's a fast survival techniques here for IAmMagic, not something that we see every day.
I like this a lot. So for anybody who is unfamiliar with the current status of this, if you're watching this on YouTube, I encourage you, if you don't want to have the previous game spoiled, because that game has already been played. This is the second game. Mute your video right now. DeMusliM was victorious in the first game. IAmMagic, obviously this is his home map. He's coming into this game and he has prepared a strategy. And it looks like this is going to be it, going for super fast survival techniques.
Indeed. Now, when it comes to survival techniques, that's going to cost you 100 gold, which means that you are almost guaranteed to be mining gold. It can work out nicely because if you think about it, you already have a supervised mill to drop off extra food. You have the hunt going on, which is the fastest source of food available right now anyways, and you have the villagers working with survival techniques, so your food income is going to be absolutely crazy here. However, you just sacrificed all your gold. And even with the tax collector collecting a lot of tax here because you get a lot of resources dropped off, it might be difficult to get the gold needed for a fast feudal age without mining some. So you're gonna have a great food eco, but you're almost guaranteed to be mining gold as well alongside this.
Yeah, I absolutely love this build order. And it's sort of, in my opinion, I've got a certain theory about how this is going to go, and I'll explain to you how I think it will go. Let's see if I'm right. So Magic has managed to obviously research survival techniques. It means he's probably going to have to put down a gold mine at some point here. My suspicion is that he's going to go for a fast dynasty and then maybe look for a second or a third town center after that. And the reason why is because typically as China, you want to avoid putting down that early mining camp. You don't really need it. It's not particularly important. But if you are going to put that down, you might as well take advantage of it and really play into that strength.
Gotta love how IAmMagic is coming in with his scout, killing the predators of his opponent. It's like, if he was Rus, I would understand this, but it kind of actually helps DeMusliM here because...
No. It's really bad for him because now it's much more walking distance that he's going to have to do. So typically, DeMusliM would want to round those up with the villager. You can just send out the villager and scare them out towards the mill. But he's actually come in close, pushed the deer away from the mill, and then killed them far away. So it's very, very annoying for DeMusliM because, like, sure, it definitely helps him, but at the same time, he hurts him a lot more, in my opinion.
Yeah, it actually takes less time for DeMusliM to get that deer killed because he doesn't have to worry about killing it, just walking out there. But as you said, now the distance is tiny bit larger. I think it comes down to whether or not one player actually rounds up the deer, because some players don't really do that. They just let the villagers walk out. If you don't do that, it actually helps that your opponent kills the deer for you. If you're actually one of those players that likes to push in the deer close to the mill, then indeed it's a little annoying. As you said, the Fast Dynasty is an option here for IAmMagic, and usually when it comes to Chinese, it comes down to basically the order of things. Are you going for Fast Dynasty and only then drop 2 town centers, or are you dropping 2 town centers first, then Dynasty? Or maybe even you're going for a Fast Castle and then you're going for a 1 TC Song Dynasty play. So the elements are given, it's just the order at which you are using them.
Yes, I've got to agree with you. And I think that opening a Dynasty is definitely a safe route. But on Hillendale, you kind of know what your opponent's up to. I mean, like, you can suspect there's going to be town centers involved. So I'm curious to see exactly how DeMusliM does play this out. He is actually walling up, which to me indicates that he's probably thinking big. Are we going to see the world's largest boom coming out from DeMusliM? I would really love to see like a 4 town center Song Dynasty boom. I don't think I've ever seen 4 TC Song Dynasty. Do we see that this game?
I feel like that's a great way to lose the game, simply because there is no way that you would have enough food for 4 TC Song Dynasty. 4 TC Song Dynasty is... like, and you don't even need that. Like, 3 TC Song Dynasty is actually faster.
You're ruining my dreams right now, Lidicore. But I agree with you, yes. Yeah, that is one thing to note. Yeah, 2 TC Song Dynasty feels like enough. I've watched Marine Lord stream a fair bit. He sometimes does do 3 TC Song Dynasty, but 4 TC Song Dynasty... yeah, all right. Maybe my dreams are a little bit too high. But you know what they say? They say reach for the stars, Lidicore, and you still might hit the moon one day.
Now, it's worth noting that IAmMagic is going for extended walls on the right side. It has its pros and cons, but I actually like what he's doing. This is a bigger investment right now for him, but it secures a patch of huntables, secures a patch of berries, so there's going to be a lot of extra food to work with, this, which helps a lot with the boom, because, as you said, the amount of town centers is not capped, the amount of food you have is, so Technically, the only thing that prevents a 6 town center Song Dynasty boom is the amount of food that you're able to get, and making all of those town centers work consistently.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. It really is the primary difference. But yeah, the village are going to be up towards the north. Actually going to be running into a wolf here. Got to be a little bit careful. That's going to go off. I'm going to switch over the perspective so I don't actually have to hear that annoying alarm going off as Magic now looks to clean that one off. We'll clean that one up. But DeMusliM going to be dropping down that second town center, nice and close to his starting town center. And he's shifting over to gold now. So only 2 villages on wood remaining, no villages on stone. So looking to go for a 2-town center fast castle, most likely.
Both players were able to get quite a lot of sheep working for them, especially DeMusliM. He has to be happy with like 10 sheep close to that mill. That's going to help a lot with food income. Magic finishes the walls. And one thing that we haven't talked about yet is that how this map looks like. Notice that there is only one big patch of trees in this dale area. So this map is actually very, very limited on wood. And we have seen that before with Chinese. The Chinese bombards are extremely powerful late game, and you need 2 things for that, gold and wood. Gold is usually not a problem, surprisingly, because you got a lot of it on this map, but wood could be a problem for either players here.
Yeah, that is a really good point. One of the things I would just like to point out is this is one of the consequences of survival techniques is actually happening right now. Have a look how late this second town center is coming in for Magic. It's 6 minutes 50 at this point. Now, I don't know about you, but it's you drop this down at 6 minutes 40. The best Chinese build orders right now, or the fastest, I should say, don't actually rely on deer. You can just do it off sheep, and you can get that second town center down at 4:45. So this second town center is coming 2 minutes late. 6 villages could have been created in this time. So I'm curious to see whether Magic is really going to be looking to sort of extend this out a bit further. But do note, DeMusliM's had his second town center up for quite a while here. He is already heading into that dynasty as well. He's got 5 villages on the Imperial Academy and plenty of villages queued up in the town center as well. So he's going to be quite far ahead when it comes to his village account.
It is 29 for IAmMagic and 33 for DeMusliM. And as you said, the dynasty is just now in. That's also going to affect the tax income. And notice how DeMusliM is doing the exact same type of voting as Magic is. That's pretty much the identical situation there with all that hunt and berries close to that lower area. But I have some good news because IAmMagic has been very, very active on the stone mining even after that second town center. So I wonder if it's for stone walls or he's thinking about the third town center. And there's the answer. That's the third town center up on the north. So your dreams are not completely ruined yet.
Yeah, third town center is it's looking pretty good at this point in time. I mean, 3 TC Song Dynasty. He has stopped gathering stone, so we're not going to see 4 town centers today. But hey, you know what, Lidical? I'll take 3. 3's not a bad deal.
3 town centers with the Song Dynasty actually produces villagers faster than the Palace of Swabia for the Holy Roman Empire, but obviously the food cost is much, much higher. Dynasty building now coming in, nice position for IAmMagic. It's going to affect the lumber camp, the mill, and your mining camp. Obviously, when you place that Imperial Palace, you want that mill to be incorporated because that's the heart and soul of your food economy. That's where you're dropping off most of your food. That's what's going to be supervised all day, all night by that Imperial officer. So that's where you would be getting most of your tax gold income from anyways. Might as well boost that with the Imperial Academy.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, he's got a really good position in here. The fact that he's able to get the lumber camp, but he's just built a second lumber camp, and it looks like it's just outside the reach of the Imperial Academy. So a little bit unfortunate timing there for him. But take a look over at the front of his opponent's base right now. DeMusliM, he might potentially be losing a villager at the moment as this scout looks to try and do plenty of damage out towards the front of the base.
Luckily for that villager, the scout takes forever to kill that will, and the Barbican of the Sun is close by, so IAmMagic wasn't able to deny the walls, and both of these players are settling in for trench warfare. As you said, DeMusliM had that second town center up faster, plus he also had the Dynasty faster, but he's only playing 2 TCs, whereas his opponent will play on 3, so IAmMagic will have a villager advantage soon, but instead, DeMusliM decides to go for a castle age here with the clock tower. That could potentially allow him to start securing relics, because even though neither of these players are playing Holy Roman Empire, relics are still important.
Yeah, relics are still a huge part. And in fact, I've actually seen quite a fair bit of Chinese mirror matches. And even though the 3 TC Song Dynasty boom does sound crazy, and in theory it should beat the 2 TC Song Dynasty boom, 2TC Song Dynasty Boom is actually the best option in my opinion, just because of the tempo that it provides. So your economy isn't going to be that far behind the 3TC Boom, as long as you don't forget to keep making villages. But it's going to give you a lot more power in the mid game, as you mentioned. You're going to be able to get out on the map. You're going to be able to get those relics in, secure up sacred sites, and most importantly, begin to apply pressure to your enemy by getting palace guards out, start sieging down palisade walls, and then that's going to force them into a response that normally is suboptimal. So what do you mean? What do I mean by suboptimal? I mean things like crossbows, and that's exactly what we're actually seeing from Magic here. And the reason why they are not an optimal, they're not an optimal decision in my opinion, is because palace guards plus bombards are the composition that you're going to be winning games with.
For a moment, it looked like IAmMagic is queuing up Jugenu, but then he just changed that into the Archer play. On the other side, DeMusliM isn't messing around. He's opening up with a nest of bees here. There's only one scout inside his base.
Yeah, this is quite a nice move. So this is the theorized current Chinese composition. So spears slash men or spears slash palace guards plus nest of bees. 2 nest of bees now coming out for him as well and taking down that scout. I'm not sure if you watched that, but that poor scout got caught between a Barbican of the Sun, a town center, and a nest of bees. So it didn't have much luck, unfortunately.
Yeah, this started out just like a joke. A Barbican of the Sun, 2 nests of bees, and a town center walk into a bar.
Oh gosh. Still no survival techniques out for DeMusliM, despite him looking to move out towards this second hunt quite early, but does have the wheelbarrow in. Now, wheelbarrow is one of those technologies that actually kind of hurts the Chinese as much as it helps them. It's very effective for farming, but it does reduce how much tax you're bringing in. So unfortunately, the way that the Chinese taxation works, it doesn't actually store any integers. So the way that it works is if you've got 15, even if you've got 19 resources and you drop them off, you're still only going to be getting 1 tax gold for it. It's only once you've trickled up into up to 20 that it actually begins turning over. And the reason why that hurts Chinese is because if you supervise with an imperial official, it'll go from 15 up to 18, but they're still only going to be dropping off 1 tax a pop. So you do have kind of reduced tax, but I mean, tax isn't a particularly big mechanic. I think it's much easier or much safer to be getting out that nice and early wheelbarrow just because it really helps with your efficiency in the early game.
Absolutely, especially with the hunt being this far away from the mill. It probably compensates for that lack of tax income. Tax is a nice addition, but it's not the heart and soul of the Chinese economy. Speaking of economy, we have 81 villagers for DeMusliM, 91 for IAmMagic. So as you said, there is a tiny bit of an eco deficit here for DeMusliM, but it's very, very small. And you see that he's consuming way less food to make villagers, and this allows him to potentially get a very nice Imperial timing here, or go for Yuan Dynasty. So both of those are options. Whereas on the other side, IAmMagic is out of resources, so he's nowhere close to either of those.
Yeah, the big thing for me that sort of the reason why I feel like it's more of a hindrance to go for 3 town centers is because, as you mentioned, even though DeMusliM is behind by only a handful of villages, so 87 versus 99 or 98 at the time, so about 11 villages behind, you got to keep in mind that players work towards a villager cap. So you don't want to create 200 villages. It's not a race to 200 villages. I mean, you can do that if you want, but typically players are probably going to stop making villages around 130, 140 maybe in a game like this. And DeMusliM is still going to be hitting that number. He's just going to be hitting it a little bit more delayed than his opponent. And you really got to ask the question, is it enough to make up for the fact that there was an entire 3rd town center that was invested in there? Is that difference going to be really that significant for the potential threat? But I mean, you got to be doing something different from your opponent if you want to stand out from the crowd. So I guess that's where Magic is coming in with the 3 TC boom. But yeah, I mean, real Chads go for 4 TCs. That's the truth.
One of the things I'm noticing here for DeMusliM is that he's not using the villages of the Chinese. He's still dropping houses, which is a little awkward because in terms of wood efficiency, the villages are much better. It's 100 wood for 40 population as opposed to 50 wood for 10 population on a house. So once you get the Song Dynasty, you want to forget about houses and start dropping villages because it's a tiny bit more efficient. He also has 2 monasteries, but he wasn't making a single monk on either of those, as both sides are starting to mass army in hidden production buildings. Magic is going for the knights or lancers on the right side of his base. And on the other side, we will have a, I think, Spearman coming in. Yeah, it's Veteran Spearman upgrade coming in for the Muslim, as he's also going up to Imperial with the Spirit Way.
Yeah, I really like this from DeMusliM, and I genuinely think this is the best composition that you can do at the moment. Spears with Nest of Bees are incredibly strong, and very curiously, Magic is yet to add in, at least not that I can see, any Springles. So despite spotting out that there was a Nest of Bees that his opponent had made, yeah, he did not go into any form of Springles, not even like a preemptive 1 or 2 or something like that. But now up towards the north, we've got Magic beginning to push through the blue walls of his opponent. DeMusliM looking pretty strong at this point. Going to be able to hold off here, but you did mention he is obviously going up to the next age. Going to be dropping down a stone wall towards the north here, so he's exhausted the majority of the food up here. Obviously got that hunt, managed to take out most of the food off these berry bushes as well. But obviously they still do remain. But now he manages to get all of his villagers on the other side of that stone wall just in time, and he's going to be able to make it away without losing a single unit.
That was a very nice reaction over there. He has to give up on the berries and the Trollic, but luckily for him, the mobility of those knights won't count. He's actually going to make a gate on that side, but for him, obviously, the most important factor right now is getting those Spearman numbers up high and getting some early Bombards out, because currently there is no response from IAmMagic to Bombards.
Yeah, and you can actually see he's researching right now elite spears. And this is really what makes it so difficult to deal with this push, is because once you get up to the next age, you go straight into elite spears, and as you mentioned, go straight into bombards. What is the response there? There is almost no response. As long as DeMusliM pulls maybe 7 or 8 villages with his initial, or with his push, begins mining stone, which is already done doing. So he is working towards a castle. He's going to be going for a forward castle and then using those same villagers to be building the castle, and then at the same time healing the bombards. So it is really an incredibly strong death push, in my opinion, and it's so difficult to deal with. We'll take a look over at Magic's base, see how he's doing. Magic going to be going up with the Spirit Way himself. But keep in mind, this is exactly what we talked about. Even from Magic's perspective, if he somehow manages to get Springalds out, it's not going to matter because the bombards are going to be able to kill it. If he gets, like, he's got plenty of lancers out, but what's that going to do against Imperial or elite spears?
We got one Springald on the field to try and snipe the batch of Nest of Bees. Looks like IAmMagic is going for a composition of Lancers and some Archers, some Jugen also mixed in here. Now he's up to Imperials, so things could get evened out, but he's still in the need of those upgrades.
Yes, it's very curious. Second Bombard now going to be coming out as well. Third Bombard now out. Does he? Do we dare see a fourth Bombard? And here are those villagers that are coming up. Or actually, they're just coming up towards the wood line. I thought he was coming out for the push now. He's probably going to need a few more spears before he actually really starts to get this push out and moving. You can see he's sitting on 155 population at the moment. What kind of upgrades do we have through for DeMusliM? Oh, we got Pyrotechnics coming in. Pyrotechnics going to be coming through for DeMusliM. I would expect Elite Army Tactics probably going to be coming through soon. Also going for his +1 upgrades as well. So not yet to get decarbonization or insulated helm or wedge rivets, but yeah, going to be full 111 upgrades for his spearmen at this point in time.
I love how he's supervising the university as well for those upgrades, so he can get that batch of upgrades, the pyrotechnics, the elite infantry tactics, very, very fast. And those type of power spikes help you a lot, so being able to mass your spearmen a little easier from a supervised barracks, or being able to get the upgrades in from the university a little faster with the supervising, is something that can help swing it in your favor, because you will have a bigger power spike to work with.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And now we've got DeMusliM going to be dropping down a keep in the middle of the map. And Sacred Sight's going to be going over towards Magic as well. So he's going to be dropping that one down. We'll take a look over towards the base of Magic. And actually, he's gone for the Imperial Palace. Do we have potential Fire Lancers coming out right now? Oh my lord, look at the Fire Lancers coming out. Look up towards the north. Look at this right now. This is the dream right here for IAmMagic. He is going for it. Is he going to go for the sneaky snipe? Is that what he's going to do here?
His opponent is defended by stone walls, so he can't just run in with the Fire Lancers. But Fire Lancers are all about one big charge. You charge in, and you can devastate your opponent's army. I think his game plan should be forcing one decisive fight in the middle, and then just breaking through that palisade on the front, running in, and then it's all about the slaughter. I love how he is playing this one. Very, very patient. The only problem he's facing is that he can't really mass a lot of those Fire Lancers simply because he is limited by population.
Yeah, that is going to be his biggest bet or biggest problem. He's sitting on 143 villages at the moment. I mentioned earlier, you know, it's about reaching that cap. DeMusliM sitting at 131 at the moment. So he manages to reach that cap as well. Chokanu going to be coming out. These haven't been upgraded at this point in time, so not going to be doing a whole lot of damage out here, but he's going to spot the Fire Lancers out. He's going to know that there's an elite upgrade as well. So the response now, speaking of response, it looks like in the middle of the map, we've got IAmMagic going to be pushing down on the nest of bees as they begin to fire off, trying to do as much damage as they can. You can see him falling back behind the walls, but it's not going to be too much effort for him to actually be slaying through that because the Fire Lancers have got that improved siege. The Bombards managed to survive, keeps 4 Bombards alive here. Springle's on the backline, going to get taken out by that castle as well as the attacks continue now. Lidicor, jeez Louise.
That was a massive win there for IAmMagic. He just destroyed so many siege weapons that were left alone, and now his unit composition is absolutely stellar. You mentioned that there is 2 canoes. He's going to clean up all those pikemen on the north. He has 1 sacred site. Behind this one, I think he was also collecting relics, if I'm not mistaken. Indeed, he's sitting on 2. And you just feel like IAmMagic's got a lot of confidence over here. His map control is great. His unit composition is superb. So it's going to be difficult for DeMusliM, especially because spearmen are very inefficient when it comes to population. And one of the biggest resources missing right now for either player is population space. This being said, IAmMagic is sitting on 58 idols right now.
Oh my lord. Yeah, I feel like 58 idols is probably where you would maybe consider deleting villages. But I mean, each to their own. I mean, yeah, Magic, respect, dude, respect. Plenty of Bombards now beginning to come out onto the map. We see that the Fire Lancers do make their way through that smoke and dust and getting in on the back line. There's lots of spears and palace guards that are out here hoping to defend them, but so much siege is out right now for DeMusliM. It looks like he's going to be able to just burst through it. He's going to be absolutely fine.
He's gonna be fine. Those are just very, very powerful Bombards, and many of those Fire Lancers weren't attacking right from the beginning, so they eat a lot of damage. Looks like we still have some more Fire Lancers coming in, but here's where it gets interesting. Once you deplete the charge of those Fire Lancers, those will be really poor against those Spearmen, so it all comes down to the charge, and so far, he isn't really charging in, he's mostly just diving in on the siege weapons, but that means that he isn't charging the Spearmen, so Spears will have a very easy time cleaning them up.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So you can see that one of those Bombards does go down now. He's beginning to focus down the second Bombard, but as you mentioned, you know, the Spears are doing just such a great job of cleaning it up, and the mass here continues to build for DeMusliM at this point in time. He's looking incredibly good.
Look at the north.
Oh, no.
There is one Bombard breaking through the walls, and as you said, there is going to be a snipe attempt here, but there is a second layer of walls here. DeMusliM knows exactly that IAmMagic is dying here, and with those 5 Bombards, he could just steamroll him. It all comes down to a snipe attempt, but there's a hole!
Oh! There's a hole! There's a gap! He didn't spot the gap! Oh, this is terrible! This is absolutely terrible right now. DeMusliM going to be under significant threat as Magic begins searching for the production of his opponent. He spots out the barracks. Is he going to begin sieging those down, or does he look to go straight for the landmarks?
Does he have enough to go for landmarks, though? It's like 14 or so Fire Lancers against so many Elite Spearmen. I feel like this was one of those fights where the smoke was big, but the fire wasn't there, because those Fire Lancers shouldn't be able to snipe much over here. DeMusliM reacted nicely here, but it definitely gave him some scary moments to see that hole.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I just want to say, like, the Bombards are just so good at base defense. They literally are just, like, one-shotting these Fire Lancers out here. It's kind of ludicrous, like the Fire Lancers are running around and the Bombards with their 12 range and their chemistry just sitting there. Like, I'm just going to one-shot you. I'm going to one-shot you. I'm going to one-shot you. And they just one-shot everybody.
And now the Fire Lancers are just unable to be massed over here. Magic is struggling with population. He's very, very low on the food department as well. And even though those Fire Lancers are rather cheap for him, he's lacking production. Look at all those stables having 5 or 6 Fire Lancers queued up. He simply can't pop out enough Fire Lancers to fight this, trying to defend against those cannons with a trebuchet. But he's now lacking map control. And I feel like that DeMusliM just needs to push that dagger deep enough, and his opponent is gonna tap out, and DeMusliM would go into the grand finals.
Yeah, I think that that's exactly what's going to be the case here. Magic continuing to hold on. We mentioned this earlier. Look at the Bombards, just how well they pick off these units. They try and come in, but the Bombards just shredding them apart. A couple of monks coming out as well. Going to be looking to just heal up the spears as they, well, not really do much. But DeMusliM just looking incredible at this point in time. Trebuchet continuing to move forward and try and defend the base from his opponent. But unfortunately, Trebuchets are notoriously ineffective against units.
Absolutely. And the cost efficiency isn't really there for IAmMagic, especially because he's trying to snap down those bombards with the Fire Lancer, so I don't think that he ever got a successful charge in. Spearmen are fairly fragile, so a good charge with Fire Lancers would decimate all those numbers, and he's actually massing a big force, but he needs to charge in on the spears first before engaging the cannon, I think.
Yeah, and it's absolutely ludicrous how strong these bombards are. You know, I've talked about this plenty of times before. I genuinely think bombards need a nerf. 50% HP, 20% extra range, 33% reduced reload time. They are incredibly strong. And on top of that, you can throw in other bonuses like the Yuan dynasty, which gives them an extra movement speed bonus, or the Ming dynasty, which gives them an extra health bonus on top of that. Villagers going to be coming out here trying to chase down these bombards, but not going to be having a particularly good time. Villagers aren't particularly strong against bombards, Lidicor.
Absolutely, although if there is no defense, you can take it down. Chad is indeed saying that it's difficult to charge in against the Spearmen, but it's not like you have any other option using Fire Lancers against Spears and Bombards, right? So, option A, you charge on the Spear, hoping that your opponent doesn't brace them, and you kill them and then you take down the Siege. Option B, you try to snap the Siege, but then you get slaughtered by the Spearmen. So, it might just come down to the fact that Fire Lancers won't work out well in the long run against that many Spearmen.
DeMusliM now beginning to mix in his own Fire Lancers. So Fire Lancer meta is one of those things. Magic looks, I was about to call him DeMagic again. Magic now going to be able to get on top of these bombards. I think all these bombards are probably going to be going down, but keep in mind those spears still going to be on the back line, firing or poking down his enemy. More Fire Lancers now coming in. Elite upgrades coming through for both players now, as DeMusliM actually got 3-3 upgrades on his units.
Both players do have the Imperial Palace available, which allows you to pop out the Imperial Spy's ability, and that shows all the villagers of the opponent to you. This could be very, very helpful for DeMusliM, because he needs to know where to raid, and even though he didn't pop that, he's moving up to the north to get some raids going. IAmMagic could lose that Dale area very fast.
Yeah, he's going to be in a bit of trouble as those Fire Lancers come out. You can just see how quickly they deal damage to all those villagers. He's so smart as well, the way he uses his units. Comes in, takes out 9-10 villagers, and just gets straight out. He's utilized the charge, he's blown his load, and he just gets out. Now he's going to be coming back in again, once again with the charge, and then just gets straight out of there. He doesn't mess around, he doesn't muck around at all. Jeez Louise, he is so good.
He isn't even in the need to mess around there, because it's better to just run in, kill 10 villagers with the charge, disengage, and then go for the kill. But speaking of going for the kill, there goes the GG, and DeMusliM takes down IAmMagic over here.
DeMusliM is the winner. Incredible stuff from DeMusliM. A 28-minute game there. Absolute incredible stuff. What was your highlight of this game?
Oh, it's difficult to tell, because it came down to very, very small details. The highlight definitely was the Fire Lancers running into the base of DeMusliM, and if that was more than 14 Fire Lancers, let's say 25, 30, I would have been a little bit more scared if I was DeMusliM. That was definitely the highlight of the game, but what it came down to is difficult to tell, because the two players were head-to-head for a long time, and I feel like it just came down to the fact that IAmMagic didn't have a big ball of Fire Lancers that could just take one decisive engagement. He always had small groups of Fire Lancers, but they were slowly just ground down by Spearmen.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It was one of those things, and I guess for me, the big thing was watching that 2 TC Song Dynasty versus the 3 TC Song Dynasty. And we see, if you go check out the village account at the moment, you can see that DeMusliM is, he starts out ahead of his opponent, but then Magic manages to get ahead. But by the time that he's ahead, it's not really necessarily a meaningful advantage because, sure, he's ahead for a small amount of time, but then DeMusliM is able to come up to that same level that he is at and eventually overcome and overwhelm him because of that early pressure that he's got with the military out on the map.
Absolutely. And you did mention that you prefer the 2 TC Song Dynasty boom instead of a free Town Center play. And indeed, there was a little bit more flexibility here for the Muslim. He reached Imperial Age a tiny bit faster. He could start making Spearmen a little earlier, get those Bombards out early. So he had Siege going, he had Elite Spearmen going by the time his opponent already started making the Fire Lancers.
Yeah, that's a really good point. All right, well, we might wrap this one up. If you're watching this one on YouTube, I'm going to leave a link in the description over to Lidercore. A big shout out goes over towards SteelSeries as well for hosting this event. It's been an absolute pleasure casting, and I'm looking forward to many more SteelSeries events. So if you're looking for a new keyboard, a new mouse, Lidercore, what brand should you get?
Well, depends on whether or not they sponsor more tournaments.
SteelSeries, don't worry about that guy. Everybody, SteelSeries, check them out. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you guys in the next one, and we hope you've enjoyed this cast. All right, man, that was some pretty crazy games there from DeMusliM. He's looking incredible heading into this final.